Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Tito and welcome to the second channel. So today I got a pretty quick video, but it's on something really exciting, and I got it right here on the bench. And as you can see, I got a Wavebird receiver, and a much smaller Wavebird receiver, but this is actually a replacement one using modern components, and you can pick these up because, as you know, the Wavebird is a pretty rare controller. I mean, it's not rare, but it's pretty uncommon. And more times than not, you'll find these for sale without the original receiver. You know, I guess people tend to lose these. They are loose, they're a little bit small. So kind of there's been this sort of gap where, you know, you have a lot of loose Wavebird controllers, but they're pretty much useless. And it's a real shame because the Wavebird is a fantastic controller. Honestly, it's probably one of the best. And this sort of started like the whole, I want to say, like the wireless controller, you know, why they're so ubiquitous now. This is like kind of like the first viable one. You know, before that we had sort of these IR line of sight controllers, but they were very unreliable. They didn't work too well. I have one for the Sega Genesis. Didn't work well, and limited range, and you always had to sort of point it at the console. But this one was sort of the first controller where it was truly wireless. You could be far away, did not have to maintain line of sight. And that sort of had to do with the technology that this used. But the nice thing with RF is it's very low latency. At the end of the day, very reliable connection, very good controller. But like I said, a lot of these are loose without the receiver. So we finally have a solution to this. It's an open source project, but Laser Bear Industries actually makes a turnkey, ready to be plugged into your GameCube, Wave Phoenix. So this is called the Wave Phoenix. That's the name of the project. And like I said, Laser Bear makes these. You can just order them. You have to pre-order them now. I think they did sell out of their first or second batch. But this is it right here, and it's super duper small. There's quite a few differences from the original, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But right off the bat, the first thing you notice is the size. I mean, this thing is probably like a third of the volume, maybe even smaller. But yeah, but besides the size, well, there are some similarities. So you got a little LED here, just like the original. And just like the original, we'll see here in a moment, as you do your button inputs, this does illuminate just like the original. Now, when we talk about other differences, on the original one, you had this dial, which is basically your channel select. And the channel on this had to match the channel on your Wavebird controller. So right now I have this set to channel 14, and the Wavebird is also set to channel 14. On the Wave Phoenix, there is no dial. So there's no way to sort of change the channel, which is fine. And I think this is a little bit more elegant, actually, in the way that it achieves the channel select. So, okay, so besides the size, besides the no dial, the only other difference between the two is this has a button right here, and that is our pairing button. So yeah, it's incredible how small the package is. Now, okay, so like I said, this is an open source project. I do have the Laser Bear product page here. So if we look at the Laser Bear website, you can see it's $25. I guess it was originally $30. They have like a $5 off, so a little bit of a sale. They sold out of their batch 1. Their pre-order for batch 2 actually also sold out, but those aren't going to ship until July. So right now there's a batch 3 that's active, which they expect to start shipping those in July, end of July, early August. So this kind of gives you the instructions on how to pair it. Very easy. Again, all you do is you push the button once, you know, after the console's on, and then you press the X and Y button at the same time, and then you're paired. I tried it. It was perfect. It worked really well. So that's the website. Laser Bear is where you want to pick this up. Right now it's just pre-orders. For batch 2, you should get yours in early July. But if you haven't ordered yours yet, you're going to be in the batch 3, and that's not going to be until end of July, early August. Okay, so this project was actually, so this is open source, and it was made by an individual named James Smith. And if we go to his GitHub, so you can see it here, the Wave Phoenix. And you know, I kind of just perused this really quick. I'm actually really glad someone is making these, because even though it's a very simple little receiver, whenever you get into software, that stuff kind of always confuses me. And there's like basically 3 different, I guess like soft or firmware that you need to put on this. It seemed pretty complicated, so I don't think it's something that I could easily do. I'm sure if I read this, maybe, but paying $25 to just have it done and printed immaculately by, Laser Bear, that's just something I would much rather do. But the thing that I thought was interesting was, so the receiver obviously uses radio frequency, and James, when he was researching this, he went through a ton of like data sheets for a bunch of different SoCs or systems on a chip that would replicate the RF, coming from this. And he eventually found one, and the one that he's using is called, let me see if I can find it here. It had a pretty interesting name. So it's from Silicon Labs. It's a Silicon Labs wireless gecko model EFR32FG1. And apparently that SoC is able to replicate the original Wavebird receiver. So yeah, really cool that he was able to find this. And and this it works so well. It works basically like the actual Wavebird receiver. I know I feel like I'm repeating myself and I'm saying that all the time, but it's really extraordinary. The only difference is in how you pair it. Obviously, there's no pairing needed for the original. You just set the channel to the same on both the receiver and the controller. This one does require the pairing, but it's so simple. So I think now would be a good time to get into how that's done. So what I'm gonna do is I have my GameCube here. Let me bring that in frame. And I think, actually I'm gonna try it this way. So I'm gonna turn the GameCube on first without the receiver in, and then I'm gonna plug in the receiver, and then I'm gonna see if I'm able to pair it. So wait for the GameCube to fire up. So if I plug this in, let's see here. Okay, I'm gonna turn my controller on. It blinked, but I think it's because maybe I paired it previously, but oh, would you look at that? It remembered, oh, okay, well that kind of stinks. Okay, so let me show you the actual pairing process. Now I think, I'm not sure, actually yeah, I'm gonna change the channel. So let me change the channel because as you can see, I'm able to do my inputs and it's working. So actually that's pretty fantastic. I didn't know it remembered the controller. That's a really cool feature. Okay, so let me change the channel. I just went to the next channel, and now as you can see, it doesn't do anything on screen. So to pair it, all you do is you push the button, and you're gonna see the LED turn on. So it's blinking, so it's searching, and then you're gonna press X and Y. And then it stops blinking. And then you're paired. Perfect. It works, it's so easy. And then so obviously it's unplugged, so nothing's happening, but then if I plug it back in, wow, it remembers it. Oh, that's fantastic. Now, let me show you something. So I thought for whatever reason when I turned it off, it doesn't remember it. And I'll try to replicate that. I think if you turn it on while the receiver is plugged in, it does remember the controller because you'll see that the LED turns on when I do my inputs, but nothing registers on the GameCube. So let's give that a look real quick. Okay, so as you can see, it recognizes the inputs, but nothing is moving on screen. So I wonder if I simply unplug and then plug it back in, and that does it. Huh, interesting. Okay, so that makes it even easier. So if you're just, it's a little bit of a pain but each time you turn your GameCube off, if you keep the channel the same, all you need to do is unplug and plug it back in, and it remembers. It would be nice that if you could just leave it plugged in and it still remembers the controller. I don't know if maybe that's a firmware thing or maybe just a GameCube thing. It could be the fact that maybe also I'm using a modded console. Maybe somehow that's interfering, but yeah, no, it works fantastic. Let me just try a game real quick. I'm just gonna try one game. Let's try this F-Zero. Yeah, it's amazing how well this works. I can't stress how good it is. I'm not sure if anybody did any lag testing, but I'm assuming it's gonna be just as lag-free as the original. So, but yeah, no, it's really just amazing how well it works. Okay. Oh, yeah, no, this is, and now granted, I'm playing this through a capture card, so if there is any lag, it's probably due to that and not to the controller itself. And yeah, this works. Guys, this works fantastic. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. Yeah, no, well done to James. This is incredible. And then thank goodness Laser Bear is making these. It's super simple, plug and play, no setup required. Yeah, no, this is fantastic. All right, yeah, this works just fine. So, final thoughts on this. I think this is fantastic. Basically, it is a one-for-one in terms of how it works with the original. The only difference is in order to pair it, you just got to push the button and hold X and Y for just a couple seconds. Initially, I thought you had to hold this down while pressing X and Y. It's even easier than that. You just push this once. It starts scanning. You hit X and Y. It finds it, and you're paired. And even better is, just make sure you don't change the channel in the controller, but the Wavebird remembers it. The only issue I found is if you leave this plugged in and then you power the console on, it does remember the controller because it's definitely accepting the inputs because the LED illuminates each time you push a button. But for whatever reason, the GameCube isn't picking that up. So all you need to do is unplug it and plug it back in, and then the controller works again, and you don't need to pair it. Now, if you change the channel, you'll need to pair it again. But overall, I have to say, fantastic, an incredible open source project from James, and incredible execution in terms of a turnkey solution from Laser Bear Industries. And if you forget how to pair it, it does say it right here on the bottom, how to pair it. And then on the top here, it says the Wave Phoenix. You probably can't pick this up, but it also says Laser Bear Industries. And the last thing is just the way it feels plugging in. It feels, honestly, exactly like the original. Perfect. It's not too tight. It's not too loose. They're using a great connector here on the Wave Phoenix. Yeah, so there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, I highly recommend this, especially if you lost your original. Always open to suggestions for videos. I'm going to try and release these a little more regularly. It is still pretty difficult for me to do, both the videos on my original channel, but I do love having a second channel like this for kind of smaller things, something I wouldn't necessarily want to make a full video on. So if you have any ideas, drop them down below in the comments. I'll try to get to them. And if you want to support the channel, consider Patreon. I'll leave a link to that in the video description. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you again next time.